how to pedal smoother. In today's video, I'll be discussing 3 areas that you can look into to really improve the smoothness of your entire pedal stroke. So before we get started with the actual pedaling technique, we first need to look at our bike setup because we need to make sure our bike setup is properly done before we begin any of these drills. So more specifically, we're looking into the saddle height and the cleat position at the bottom of your shoe. So what we're looking to avoid here is having a saddle height that is too high, and also the cleat position. We want your cleat position to be set up in a way where the ball of your foot is actually sitting directly above the axle pedal or behind the axle pedal. With both of these set up correctly, we can eliminate a lot of discomfort that you might face whenever one of these things is set up incorrectly. Because if your saddle is too high, your hips will start rocking around left and right when you start doing the cadence drills. And if your cleat position is set up too far forward, you're pedaling with your toes, which in result puts a lot of pressure on your toes because your toes are not the strongest point throughout your entire foot. So you want to transfer power through the ball of your foot and not through your toes. Now, I recently uploaded a video on my channel talking about saddle height. So if you want to know a little bit more about how to set up the correct saddle height, you can click somewhere here in the corner and watch that video later on. So here comes the actual pedaling technique itself. Now, I'm sure one of the most common advice that you hear people tell you is to actually pedal in circles. Now, some people agree with that statement and some people don't. Now, I believe that the pedal stroke should have a good balance of you pushing down on the pedals and actually pulling up on the upstroke. So a natural way that I like to do this that I found worked very well for me actually came from a coach advice back then when I was training in a studio. So what he told me to do is to actually cue myself to push down using my heel when I'm in the downstroke. So when I'm pushing down on the downstroke, think of pushing it through your heels, because this way, by pushing it through your heels, you are able to activate your glutes. Now, your glutes are the strongest muscle throughout your entire body. So by cueing yourself to push through your heels, automatically you are engaging the glutes already. And once you reach the bottom of your pedal stroke, instead of thinking of pulling up on the upstroke, a way I like to cue myself is to actually unweight the pedals. So as you come up in the upstroke, think of unweighting the pedals and taking your weight off the pedals. Now, throughout the entire pedal stroke, the majority of the focus is still pushing down on the pedal stroke, pushing through your heels and activating the glutes. But to keep the entire pedal stroke smooth, when you reach the bottom of the pedal stroke, the unweighting the pedals and taking your weight off the pedals provide just the right amount of pulling up on the upstroke to bring your feet through the upstroke to the top of the pedal stroke and ready for the downstroke again. So it provides that smooth transition from the downstroke into the upstroke and then to repeat the cycle again. So when you practice this enough, it will soon become second nature, and your pedal stroke, you will find, becomes a lot more smoother and a lot more powerful because of you cueing your brain to do this and that in different parts of the pedal stroke. So what we're going to discuss next is actually how to practice those cues that I mentioned just now through a few of my favorite cadence drills. So 2 of my favorite cadence drills is slow cadence drills and high cadence drills. Now, both of these cadence drills target different aspects of your pedal stroke. So to begin with, I think start off with the slow cadence drill first. So to do this, you want to cycle at a very slow cadence of roughly between 50 to 60 RPM. So this cadence range really is very slow. So when you're cycling at 50 to 60 RPM, what you're really focusing on is really the downstroke, pushing down through your heels, and then once reaching the bottom of the pedal stroke, taking your weight off the pedal, so unweighting the pedals. So because the motion is so slow, you are able to put your brain to focus throughout the entire pedal stroke. Now, one thing that you should take note is, because you're pedaling so slow, it's very common to have the urge to actually move your body, move your upper body to compensate for that slow cadence. But apart from focusing on your pedal stroke, you also want to focus on maintaining a stable body, because when you focus on maintaining a stable body here, it will translate better whenever you come back to your natural cadence. So you can practice this on an indoor trainer. I think it's one of the best ways to practice this, or you can actually do this on a long climb. Now the second type of cadence drills is fast cadence drills. Now this one is really targeted to improve the smoothness of your pedal stroke, because for some people they are great at pedaling slow. So whenever their cadence is slow, it's very smooth, very good looking, very smooth. But once their cadence increases and it becomes very fast, their pedal strokes start to become very choppy. Sometimes some of them even bounce in a saddle. So for this cadence drill, you want to do 1 minute repeats of your highest average cadence. So in that 1 minute, you're trying your best to maintain your highest average cadence. Now at first, you'll probably find that it's very hard to do so and you're probably bouncing a lot in the saddle. But a good advice that I can give is to really focus on taking your weight off the pedals. Yes, I think the easiest part is to actually push through your heels into the downstroke. But what is hard here is to actually think about the upstroke, the pulling up, the unweighting the pedals. So the faster you pedal, the more important an upstroke actually is. And you'll actually come to a point where you're actually pedaling so fast, all it feels like it's just you unweighting the pedals and you gently pulling up on the pedal stroke. Now bear in mind that this high cadence drill is supposed to be done in a very low resistance, so in a low gear. You don't want to be putting out a lot of power whenever you're doing this high cadence drill. What we're focusing on here is just the speed of your pedal stroke and not the power. So when you practice enough and you combine both of these cadence drills, over time you'll soon see that your pedal stroke becomes a lot more smoother and a lot more powerful. And overall you just become a more well-rounded rider. So practice both of these cadence drills, really focus on the pedaling technique of pushing down through your heels, and when coming through the bottom of the pedal stroke, take your weight off the pedals. So I hope this pedaling technique really works for you, because this is an advice that I got from my coach back then when I was training in a studio. So share this with a friend who you think might have a very choppy pedal stroke and tell them to work on this pedaling technique and cadence drills. So leave a like on this video if you found value out of it, and also leave a comment down below on how do you cue yourself to have a smoother pedal stroke. So that is all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.